Achievement Award for the Philip Burton Public Service Award tonight. But I want to say a couple things about Warren. You don't know the first time that we met, because Warren and Beatty came up to see Lorne Michaels once when I was working on Saturday Night Live, and it was about 1 o'clock in the morning on a Tuesday when we were writing the show. The word spread that he was upstairs. All the girls got together and elected me to go peek in and see what he looked like. So I did. I went over to Lorne's office and I was kind of listening in here, what was going on there. And suddenly I kind of heard them coming towards the door. And I panicked and I got under a desk. And so when Warren came out, the only thing I saw was his feet. And I was impressed. And I went back to the office, what did you think? What's that? And I saw his feet. And they're really good. Well, a few years later, I found myself in the casting office when Warren was casting his incredible, thoughtful, and brilliant political thriller Bulworth. I was looking for a part of that. And so the next time I met Warren, he was on his knees. He came out, he got on his knees, and he bowed down to me. And he said, I think you're brilliant. And I thought, well, I'll take this job for scale. I called my mother, I said, Warren Beatty bowed to me, Mom. Something you never did. Well, about 6 years into that production, I was commiserating with another actor who was in the film. And we were thinking, geez, we've been here for 6 years making this movie. I said, why did you take the part? He said, I couldn't turn it down, he bowed down to me. So I'm going to take this little opportunity to bow to you, Warren, because you are such a generous man. You were so kind to me. You really, really love actors. And even though we did work on your movie for 6 years, it was worth it. Ladies and gentlemen, Warren Beatty.
Oh, it's a wonder what I don't remember. I really would like to thank Brown Green for having children younger than mine are. I'm rewriting as I go. I'm much too young to be presenting this award. Okay, Jamie, shall we just do the video? Oh, God, I love to give him a hard time. Well, okay, I would like to say something in presenting this award to RoseAnn that I hope that you will not find too presumptuous. But I think that this year we are at a moment that I would call a tipping point. For many reasons, most of them sad. Great potential for positive political change is at hand, and possibilities for progressives have rarely been so present. But without unity in 2006, in both the nation and the state, we stand a good chance of missing these opportunities. I hope that's not from Washington. I think I know what it is. That's just charming. Well, what I feel Kathleen's for you. No. Kathleen is my 34-year-old, 14-year-old, and I'm so happy to be here with her. Okay. Listen, for such a long time, you and I, so many of us, we have been way too familiar, almost, I would say, comically familiar, certainly tragically familiar, with what historians have called the fragmentation of the left, or what Mr. Freud called the narcissism of minor differences. But in the special election here in California a few months ago, you people, RoseAnn, Jamie, Harvey, Doug, a bunch of us, we put aside all of these fragmentations and the minor differences, and we were unified, and we won. This year, 2006, the inconsistent Republican current governor, suddenly respectful, newly polite to the legislature in his erratic, conservative, careening careerism, seems to be having some trouble either knowing or letting us know what it is that he stands for now, if anything. And to rescue his wandering administration, he's going to be counting on us as Democrats to obsess on and aggravate our minor differences and have our fragmentations with one another and make petty negative attacks on one another in the Democratic primary in June that is going to make both of our candidates less attractive in November and distract the voters from what it is that needs to be done in California. I, for one, have to tell you that I'm very grateful that we have such superbly prepared candidates who want to serve the public and have already devoted so much of their lives to doing so and to knowing what it is that they stand for and what must be done in California. I know Phil Angelides, and I know that he would make a good governor. I know Steve Wesley, and I know that he would make a good governor. I will not be allowed to vote for both of them. I will have to choose. But what I should not do is to take some cheap shot at the one I'm not voting for, because the one I'm not voting for in June, who knows, may very well be my candidate in November. I want us to win. How about this? If we want to win this year, I think it might be a very good time to take a political rule from another actor, a Republican who happened to be a friend of mine named Reagan, and to rewrite it for Democrats, a democratic 11th commandment. Thou shalt not speak ill of another Democrat. Or at least not too ill. In my opinion, you and I, should get together and use what influence that we have with our candidates and their highly skilled and widely experienced attack dogs, many of whom we've grown to love and to fear, and let them know that we are going to register our disapproval of the kind of careerism that would put winning a campaign in a Democratic primary in June ahead of our common goal in November. I think we should call ourselves, and I think Harvey and Jamie and Doug, the Watchdogs. I think we should call ourselves the Watchdogs or something like that, and we should let these candidates know that we're going to hold them responsible for what their consultants and their consultants' publish, promulgate, propagate, disseminate, broadcast, videocast, spread around, bandy about, rumor, whisper, or buzz about, so that they'll get rid of them if they can't run a positive campaign in the Democratic primary and just fire it. Beatty to win in November. Now, for RoseAnn DeMoro, winning, and what it is that constitutes winning, and her understanding of the logic of the importance of the often incremental nature of winning, are some of the characteristics that make tonight's Woman of the Hour the force of nature that she is, which is a woman that it is almost impossible to say no to. She represents that which is best in social and political activism. As an activist, she picks her spots so wisely and with such prescience that she's simply ahead of the curve on the cutting edge of the public's social conscience with a drive and dedication that gives her colleagues faith in doing the right thing and the conviction that if it's right, it's not only possible, it's fun. That's the thing, RoseAnn, it's fun. Not a lot of fun for somebody like Arnold, but she does make some of us laugh. And while she's making you laugh, she gets to the point. She gets to the point on campaign finance, she gets to the point on single payer, and on and on and on. There is no better organizer than RoseAnn. There is no better spokesperson in the labor movement in the country. Absolutely. Anyway, I know I don't have to tell you this because in the last hour and a half she's undoubtedly gotten you to agree to do something that deep down you feel you should have been doing all along. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm proud, I'm very proud to have been asked to present the Philip Burton Award this year to the Executive Director of the California Nurses Association, the great RoseAnn DeMoro.
Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you, Warren. I'd really like to thank Arnold Schwarzenegger, actually. Because he brought us all together. And he keeps us all together. You know, consumer attorneys out there, the California nurses have stood with you, you've stood with us, and we really just love you. You know, Warren, charm and charisma, you know, I think everybody obviously knows about your charm and charisma, but you know, for us, I think with the nurses, besides the charm and charisma, we've seen the burning intelligence that you have. I mean, you're just unbelievable. It's this boundless passion. Just in terms of protecting democracy, Warren Beatty is there. And I mean, he lives, I mean, there's like two lives almost. There's, you know, the Warren Beatty, the great everything in Hollywood. And then there's Warren Beatty, the political activist, who really, I mean, just is a fountain of creativity. And really, I mean, an incredible tactician. That's what we found, strategist and tactician. And he's very serious about it. And he'll keep you on the phone until you agree with him. So. Arden, Jamie, Doug, Jerry, staff of FTCR, thank you so much for this great honor, really. I just, and you know, the amount of respect I have and the nurses have and all of us in this room have for the work that you do, your relentless energy, your uncompromising spirit, and the unending dedication and persistence to fight for social justice every day for all of us. It just, I mean, you touch our hearts, you really do, and we know how much that you give. I want to acknowledge our president, Deborah Berger, with the California Nurses Association. Past President David Day, leaders of the California Nurses Association, if you'd like to stand, nurses. And the California Nurses Association who are here tonight, stand up. You know, this award is a recognition of your leadership, your achievements, your vision, your advocacy, your courage, particularly to have someone like me as the executive director. And I also want to thank my fellow travelers over there, the CNA staff, who every day, all my life, we fight together and we fight each other. Thank you. Last but first in my life, I want to recognize my mom, sitting over there by Warren and his daughter. My mom was actually personally responsible for getting me into all fights. She told me if I didn't stand up for myself and stand up for others, that I would have her to deal with. So in the best of Freudian tradition, my activism is generated by the fear of my mother's wrath. I love you, Mom, and I thank you for making me a warrior. And I just have to say, when we finished November, we were celebrating the Arnold thing. I called my mom, I said, we kicked his ass. And my mom said, well, when are you going to do something about that guy in Washington, D.C.? What seems now almost surreal was that in November 2004, Arnold Schwarzenegger was perhaps the most famous politician in the world. He stood at nearly 70% in the polls, had raised tens of millions in campaign contributions, and he had just used his fame to get George Bush reelected in Ohio, if you recall. He was riding high, he was belittling any opposition, calling them losers, girly men, and stooges. Then Schwarzenegger decided, on behalf of his healthcare corporate donors, to roll back our hard-won law requiring hospitals to have enough registered nurses to safely take care of patients. Almost everyone, except Harvey, Jamie, Warren, of course, and Phil, you were there with us. You were there all the way down the line in the beginning, Phil Angeles, and we recognize that. Everyone was telling all of us, including Phil, I think, that this governor was too popular, too powerful to be challenged. The New World Order in America and California was one where you cut a deal, accept your losses, and move on, and we've all been there. The nurses of California did not agree. They would not let this governor deny them the right to care for their patients. Nurses are used to fighting. They have to fight every day against their administrators, the HMOs, and often the doctors to make sure their patients get the care that they need. So it didn't matter that others thought Schwarzenegger was unassailable. The nurses just took the fight from the hospitals to the streets. And suddenly, the world changed. We forced the media to look beyond Schwarzenegger's wardrobe and into his cash register politics. And we created, along with the FTCR, innovative protests that people weren't used to seeing. We flew planes, as you saw, over his home on Super Bowl Sunday, and then at his other fundraisers with the banners that you saw in the video. We did street theater at the Oscars. We chased Arnold to the Arnold Classic Bodybuilding Contest in Columbus, Ohio, where we shined a national spotlight on his ties to the quote-unquote nutritional supplement industry. We put the governor, this is my favorite, we put the governor up for bid on eBay. To give everyday people the opportunity to own the governor, not just corporations. eBay, I kept watching that, I was getting like, oh, it's enormous money. So eBay finally, after 8 hours, took our ad down, and it got up to millions. It was great. It was great. And then they said to the paper when asked why they took our ad down, he said, you can't sell the governor on eBay. I don't know, it seems like he's being sold every day. Halloween throughout California, all throughout California, we handed out Arnold masks with his corporate donor stamped on his forehead. We followed him around in buses and crashed his campaign parties. And the final, with Warren and Annette actually joining us on the bus in the last week of the campaign, which I think was pretty significant because there was some iffy times there. It's a hilarious side note. What I loved was that we would crash this fundraiser or his party or whatever he was doing to try to get out the vote, and they would say, Warren Beatty and Annette Bening, those Hollywood liberals, are outside, and everybody would start applauding and come on, trying to get their autographs. It was too much. Warren was dignified and would not do autographs. Oh, that was funny. Because it's hitting right where it hurts. They were there because it's a superficial following that Schwarzenegger has, right? I mean, it's just like it's about his celebrity. And so when we had these, we turned the tide here. From California to New York, we did over 107 protests. We protested at all of his fundraisers and speeches that we could get to. At one speech, he was so rattled that he called the nurses a special interest, and then wisecracked that he was kicking nurses' butts, a remark that the San Francisco Chronicle later called his Waterloo. Along the way, a funny thing happened. As they saw Arnold's popularity beginning to drop like a dead bird, a powerful coalition began to emerge. Our coalition of nurses, teachers, firefighters, of course the FTCR, Warren, Annette, unions, and consumer groups had a deep sense of resolve, knowing that this was a battle that had to be won. This is pretty serious, I mean, when you think about the times that we're in. The stakes were high. If Arnold's celebrity and the money of his corporate backers could buy an election, then California and America would never be the same. And as you all know, we won. And the corporations lost. And we won through a unity of common message, a shared goal, and an uncompromising will. Our message was that you must engage in civic responsibility, otherwise the corporations win. They own the airways, they own the laws, they write the laws, and they own most of our politicians, sad to say, but they will never have the heart of the people. Our collective victory gave everyday people hope and showed them that through organizing and mobilization, we can win, and we must not stop. We won a thrilling victory in November, but think about this. More than $317 million was wasted on a special election that nobody wanted except for Arnold's corporate backers. $317 million while low income and minority neighborhoods are seeing a sharp rise in home foreclosures. $317 million while some communities that depend on manufacturing jobs look like they've been hit with saturation bombing, and entire occupations are unemployed in this country. $317 million that could have been used to hire 40,000 more teachers at a time when we were facing disgraceful overcrowding in our classrooms, and all of you in this room knows that the list goes on and on. But why is it that somehow our elected leaders can't find the time and the resources to address this national nightmare? But they can find the time to enact a bill written by the credit card companies to make it harder for people facing financial ruin to declare bankruptcy. And they can find the time to give more tax breaks to the oil companies at a time when our gas prices are rising. And they find the time to pass a Medicare bill whose primary function seems to be to further enrich the HMOs and the drug companies. And they always have the time to deregulate the banking, securities, insurance, energy, transportation, telecommunications industries, fostering a new era of corporate malfeasance. And they're very, very busy trying to privatize our retirement security. They would like for us to believe that they are powerful compared to us and that we are not powerful. Last year, we shined a spotlight on the corruption of our political system. But as Jack Abramoff, Tom DeLay, and Duke Cunningham have made abundantly clear, the problem is not just Arnold Schwarzenegger. As Bill Moyers recently said, our elections are bought out from under us with public officials doing the bidding of mercenaries. Money is choking democracy to death. And in order to have even a semblance of democracy, each of us in this room are forced to contribute to a system stacked against the public interest. It's time for all of us to participate in reversing these disgraceful priorities and disrupt the cycle of corruption that fosters this system. The nurses of the California Nurses Association learned a lifetime lesson last year in battling Arnold Schwarzenegger. They learned up close and very personal that the political context that undermines their patients' health each day of their working lives will continue unless they step up. Daily, they observe their patients diagnosed with diseases who cannot afford medications necessary to treat their illness. Daily, they see their patients having to choose between paying the electric bill or the enormous co-pays for their health insurance. Nurses see in America where 40 million people have no health coverage, where a lack of coverage is the seventh leading cause of death, where people hold auctions, car washes, church suppers, high socials to help devastated families facing medical bills, while half of the healthcare premium dollar goes to profits and overhead and not medical care. The lack of humanity shown in our healthcare system should make us all very ashamed as Americans. Yet the drug companies, the HMOs, who make billions from those abuses, control the political system along with their corporate cohorts in other industries. But to everyone in this room, that's certainly not a newsflash. What is a newsflash? Is that the nurses have decided to fight to end these abuses and directly confront the political system which fosters this inhumanity. The California Nurses Association has filed the Clean Money and Fair Elections Act that will appear in the November 2006 ballot. This is the nurses' answer to systemically cleaning up Sacramento. The ballot initiative lets state politicians voluntarily receive public funds for running for election rather than put themselves up for sale to the highest paid lobbyists and wealthiest fundraisers. It also says corporations participating in the initiative process would have strict limits on how much money they can give. In Maine, in Arizona, in Connecticut, the same public financing reform is already cleaning up the state house. If we don't claim ownership of our electoral system, the corporations will continue to poison our politics and poison our democracy. And it will continue to be virtually impossible to achieve the reforms that we so desperately need: an overhaul of our inhumane healthcare system, a living wage for everyone, secure funding for our schools, ensuring everyone can retire with dignity. The nurses want to clean up politics in November of 2006 because we have to clean up the healthcare system at the ballot box in 2008. And we need to limit, in order to get there, we have to limit the HMO and drug companies' control over the government and initiative process if we're going to succeed. In the 1990s, side by side with the Foundation, FTCR, and with Ralph Nader, who, by the way, I truly miss. I just want you to know, I mean, I love Ralph Nader. And we need Ralph Nader. We need all the Ralph Naders out there in the world. I know it. I get the politics here. But Ralph Nader is a great man in history, and we need him back. We fought with the HMOs and the insurers to secure basic patients' rights, and now it's time to take the only stand that will solve the ever-escalating healthcare crisis. We need a California Medicare program that covers everyone, where the government pays doctors and hospitals directly and negotiates the cheapest bulk discounts from drug companies and medical suppliers. On the 2008 ballot, the nurses intend to let Californians choose this universal health care system based on a single standard of quality care for everyone. This is an ambitious vision, we know that. But tonight, nights like tonight, are where dreams really begin and where they blossom. I mean, just look at what happened last year after Warren's speech, right? We can do to the HMOs and the drug companies and other industries that buy our government what we did to Arnold. We can humble them. Working people build this country. We need to have the right. We need only the right political, collective movement. It's our moral obligation to make change in this country, and I think that's why all of you are here. Fashioning our common destinies demands that we must work hand in hand, side by side, and keep our vision and our hopes at the forefront of our daily lives. We must take the corrupting influence of money out of politics. We must create a humane healthcare system, and more importantly, we must leave the world a better place for our children and grandchildren and for generations yet to be born. But we can do this. But in order to do this, it's the fragmentation that Warren talked about. We have to stay together. We have to stand by each other today and through the many tomorrows. The nurses, the teachers, the firefighters, the attorneys, the consumers, wherever they are, the progressives in Hollywood, the labor movement, all good people really do have to come together at this point in time. JV, Harvey, Doug, Jerry, you are really the real deal. You're long-distance runners. Warren, your energy, passion for social justice, and your natural affinity with the caring aspect of the RN commitment to excellence in patient care makes us an unbeatable combination for political reform. There are so many friends in this room tonight, many, and many of us go way, way back, many that are unsung heroes. With all my heart, I want to thank you for the work that you do. Your activism and your courage is a beacon that shines a light on a better and more profound and hopeful tomorrow. Thank you so much for this recognition. And it's important that you hear this. The greatest honor that I have tonight, and this is a great honor, but it's the presence of those who can and do make a difference. Nothing could be more significant at this historic moment, and I thank you for everything that you do. Thank you.